Hello and welcome to the Wise Guys podcast. I'm Matt Louie.
And I'm Lenny, and today we're going to be talking about our favorite proverbs.
Nice.
Matt, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So, this is an episode that we just thought we'd do to recap a handful of proverbs that have been influential in our lives or just that hold a special place in our hearts since this whole podcast
Yeah.
is about proverbs. And we've been doing a few different topics recently. We thought we'd bring it back to
Yeah.
the proverbs. And I wrote down a list here. I've got about 6 or 7 of them, and we'll see how far we get down this list. And maybe if we need to, we can do another episode. But yeah, I'll start with one that I memorized as a child, as I'm sure a lot of us did in Sunday school. And over the years, it's added more and more meaning, or I've understood it better and better, and it's added more and more value to my life. And it's Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 to 6.
5 to 6? Oh,
Yeah,
well,
you guessed
that's
it.
actually one of my favorite proverbs, too.
Did I get one of yours?
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote this one down, too.
All right, good thing we each
It's a
wrote
good
down a few of these. So it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight." Very simple couple of verses there. Um, and I think the reason why it's gained more meaning for me over the years is that even though the words are simple, kind of when you dig into their meaning, um, it's pretty deep, and I think some of it gets lost in translation from the original language to English. So, for instance, when it says heart, trust in the Lord with all your heart, I think we use the word heart today more of in an emotional sense. Like when I get my heart broken, it's more talking about my emotions. But I think as we've talked about before in the Old Testament, heart encompasses more than just the emotions. It's the center of one's being, which includes aspects of emotion, but also will and mind and who one person is. And it's contrasted or paralleled in this verse with understanding. So, um, trusting the Lord with all your heart doesn't just mean an emotional kind of attachment, but really
Yeah.
with your mind, your understanding, your will, trusting in Him in all things rather than on your own understanding. And then in verse 6, in all your ways, acknowledge Him. Once again, that word acknowledge in our English language seems a little bit more of a casual acknowledgement, like just acknowledging someone's existence, not really um, the sense here. It's more of an intimate relationship. It could also be the word is could also be translated as know. So in all your ways, know him. In it's the same word I think in the end of First Chronicles when David is talking to his son Solomon, who ended up writing these words, encouraging him to know the Lord, the God of his father, and to have a relationship with him. So it's not just merely acknowledging, like saying that someone exists, but really knowing and having a relationship with him. And then finally, and he will make your path straight. Again, a familiar metaphor in the Old Testament in Proverbs is paths being a stand-in for your life, just the course of your life. So he will make your life. He will make things work out in general in your life as you
Yeah.
lean on him, as you know him intimately. And so yeah, I think it's one of those Bible verses that we all memorize in Sunday school if we're fortunate enough to be able to have that experience. But then as you walk through life, as I walk through life, and of course things get more and more challenging, there are times that are difficult, and I'm tempted to not trust in the Lord, but just remembering that in the end, I can trust in Him, and if I trust in Him and not on my own understanding, that things will turn out all right in the end.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wrote this verse down too because uh, it's just a good reminder for us, for me, to trust in Him, to acknowledge Him, to think about Him frequently in all the things that we do. It says here that in all your ways, trusting in the Lord. And I love this verse. I mean, I actually remember when I memorized this verse. It was in VBS in elementary school, and it was part of the Vacation Bible School like songs. Did you have to sing songs?
I don't remember singing any songs, but this sounds.
Oh,
Yeah, you're gonna have to give me a sample of that song.
yeah, yeah. It's a little embarrassing, but for some reason it doesn't even have a good tune. But it's something that just stuck with me, and it goes, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight," or something like that. I probably butchered it.
Nice. That is kind of catchy. At least
Yeah,
you remembered it.
and I don't know. It's just stuck with me for now going on like 20 years or something like that. And for me, I like that because it for whatever reason that tune just pops up whenever I'm having a hard time facing some type of challenge or difficulty, like a big obstacle that I feel like I can't overcome. Like for instance, like moving up to NorCal, like I thought about this verse, and uh, you know, it's not necessarily something that just uh, like immediately comes into my mind, but I feel like that tune just guides kind of my heart and directs me to look to God, and remind me to think about Him and what I guess one like how I would worship Him through this difficult situation, how I can see Him working through this difficult situation. If there's anything that I can do to show God's character to other people during the situation.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely, like you said, all encompassing in all parts of my life. And like you said, it doesn't mean that my life is perfect. Like if anything, it's the opposite. And this verse kind of just helps guide us through those trials and valleys.
Yeah. It seems like life isn't always on a straight path. It seems like there are many twists
Yeah.
and turns, and life takes us in different directions that don't seem easy or straight. But this last part where it says He will make your path straight reminds me of another favorite verse, not in Proverbs, but of course Romans 8:28, where it says that He works all things together for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose.
Mm.
And there's many illustrations of this in the Bible, where life takes somebody and their paths don't seem like they're straight, or their life doesn't seem easy. You know, understand why they're going through what they're going through, but in the end, God has a wise purpose for it. So I think that's also
How tremendously comforting, like
yeah.
it just feels like there's a purpose. It feels like God is, hasn't forgotten us. He has a reason why we're going through these things, and that is to honor Him and to glorify Him through this tough situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, since you let me have the first one and I kind of stole one of yours, why don't you go ahead and take the next one?
Yeah, sure. It's interesting. The next one is also memorable because it's based off of another popular song or hymn. I guess it's kind of an old one. And I'll sing the song.
Please go ahead.
Actually, you know what? I'll read the verse.
Yeah.
No more singing song. I'll read the verse, and maybe if you're listening, maybe you can figure out what song that is.
All right.
So it's Proverbs 3:13-15. It goes, "Blessed is the one who finds wisdom, and the one who gets understanding. For the gain from her is better than gain from silver, and her profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her.
I think I know what
Does that?
song you're thinking about, but that
Yeah.
song
What's up?
that song isn't talking about wisdom necessarily. It's talking about the Lord, but it uses a lot of
Yeah.
the same words. More
Yeah.
precious than jewels, better, more profit than silver. Yeah, I think I know.
Yeah.
You guys will have to let us know down in the comments if you know the song.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know if you sing it at your church, but we definitely do sing it at our church, and we
Yeah.
sing a version that's mixed in with a chorus. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's the steadfast love
Hmm?
of the Lord never
Yep.
ceases. Yeah,
Yeah, Lamentations.
that's a good version.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead. Go ahead. Why is this verse one of your favorites?
Yeah. Again, I think it's just memorable because not only is it a song, but it finds me in uh, a lot of tough situations, and especially when the rubber hits the road. Um, and in this proverb, it talks about wisdom and how um, understanding and this wisdom is more precious than anything that we could ever get in this world.
Hmm.
And oftentimes, I find myself, whether in my job, at church, even in just living life, like I desire jewels and gold and silver
Yeah.
more precious than wisdom,
Yeah.
you know.
Hmm.
And I think it's such a like heavy reminder because like I I'm I don't like to be rebuked. I don't like to be disciplined. I don't like to be criticized and like told what to do and told what the right thing is. It's just against the grain of my personality. I mean, I don't know if it's just me or if it's you guys too, but like
You're a
that
human.
hurts a little bit,
Yeah.
hurts my pride. Yeah, I know, right? And I can't say that I love that more than silver,
Mm.
But if I really take a step back and think about, um, you know, like the value of wisdom, like yes, I want to desire that, and I want to see that as more precious than anything on earth, whether it's food or even like just money. And so, yeah, I just and it just concludes by saying there's nothing that you desire can compare with wisdom, like,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
just puts things in perspective, right? Like wisdom has to be this like I'll die for it kind of thing. Like it's so valuable. Um, Nothing comes even close to it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that and acknowledging. I think it's kind of easy to say, yeah, I value wisdom more than gold and silver and money. But if we're really honest, and like you just were, I think for many of us, particularly living in this very affluent part of the world, and I think we can relate here. Solomon is speaking from a place of much affluence and wealth himself, and he's, after having experienced that, saying that what, wisdom is far better
Yeah.
than wealth. And I think it's ironic, isn't it, that you and I, we live in a time and place that is so much more abundant than the majority of people that have ever lived, and we have so much more abundance, and in terms of our needs, but also you
Hmm.
know extra things, and yet we act as if, we live as if we desire more wealth, pretty much at the expense of everything, more than wisdom, more than things that we should be pursuing. We pursue wealth so hard, pursuing a better job, making more money, getting a promotion. We pursue these things so hard, but do we pursue wisdom? Do we value
Hmm.
it as much as we value? And it's tough, isn't it? Because I think, especially um, the more you're in this environment where, let's be honest, everyone around us lives their life according to worldly values that
Hmm.
outside of our Christian friends, whether it's our workplace or our society, values wealth and honor, and success in that, from that standpoint. So, yeah, to have this reminder from Solomon, who's gotten all the wealth, like that wisdom um, is much more precious than that, and by extension, like that song you were referencing says, it's the Lord is the embodiment of wisdom, so He's more valuable than gold and silver.
Yeah, I'm actually reminded of the ruler who was this a parable where or yeah, I think it was where there was a young ruler who had a lot of money and he approached Jesus.
The rich young ruler. Yeah, this was actually
Yeah.
this wasn't a parable in the sense of a fiction. It was actually a person that approached Jesus. Yes,
Oh
but
yeah,
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 and so Jesus said like, "Go sell all your possessions and follow me,"
yeah, yeah,
and that's just such a stark reminder that like Jesus is alluded to as being wisdom,
yeah, yeah.
and like following wisdom, like literally following Jesus, is more precious than all the rich young ruler had, and even that like
Wow,
he couldn't do that.
wow, you're right. He was literally given the choice to follow after the embodiment of wisdom,
Yeah,
or stay and with having his gold and silver. And he couldn't. He went away sad because he had owned many
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Wow, I never
yeah.
thought of
I
that.
hope that you and I would, if ever faced with that situation, would pick Jesus
Yeah,
10 out of 10 times.
yeah. Um, well, it is. Jesus said it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than it is for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle, which of course is
Yeah,
impossible. So I think it just goes to show how, as he said, with man, these things are impossible. But with God, all things are possible. That only
mm.
by God's grace can we come to value wisdom, and Jesus, the embodiment of wisdom, more than these material possessions that we can see in front of us.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Matt, you want to share another one of your favorite verses?
Yeah. Back on the more practical side of things, this one came to mind for me. Proverbs 15:1 says, "A gentle
Hmm.
answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." And I picked this one because there are a lot of proverbs that just give really good life advice in general. If you find yourself in a situation, for instance, where things are getting heated, um, you can either escalate it by firing back, and giving a harsh word, or you can give a gentle answer and de-escalate things, and turn away that anger and navigate away from that conflict. And when I was younger, a lot of times I would escalate, and when I would get into arguments with friends and family, I would naturally feel inclined that if something was said, I needed to kind of one up that, and I needed to kind of clap back at what was being said. And
Hmm.
through the years, God has humbled me, and through this verse, and the example of older Christian um, people in my life, I've realized that this is really true. I mean, like 10 out of 10 times in my experience, when you're in an argument, when things get heated, and you're the one that is calm and you give a gentle answer, that'll lead to the other person being more calm and kind of settling and resolving the conflict, rather than escalating it and continuing the negative feedback loop. So this has just been a really practical one for me, and it seems to really work.
Yeah, that is also very practical. It's so funny. When I would have arguments with my parents, my mom would just pull that verse on me, and in my foolishness, I would increase my harsh words just to spite her. And how foolish, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You have a wise mom there.
Well, I think that's about all the time that we have today. I think we should probably follow up and maybe we do part two and go over a couple of other proverbs
Yeah,
that I'm sure you've written down and I've written down.
this was
Um,
fun.
yeah, yeah, this was great. Just wanted to turn the attention to the listeners. If you guys have any favorite proverbs, I'd love to hear. We'd love to hear from you. You can comment down below. And of course, if you're watching our YouTube video right now, you can also find us on Spotify and Instagram at the Wise Guys Podcast and Twitter at the Wise Guys Pod. It's a pleasure recording these episodes and talking about how we can gain wisdom, get wisdom throughout our lives through Proverbs. And I hope that you guys benefit from listening to this and get one step closer to wisdom.
Yeah, we really appreciate all three of you that watch this. So until next time, see you guys. Bye.
All right, take care.